Welcome. This is La Madame coming to you with a late night reading. This reading will be for the Aries since we are in Aries month, Aries season. This reading will be for the Aries. As you see, the cards are already laid. I felt that this reading or vibe needed to be shared with others. Um, of course, for the sole purposes of enlightenment, guidance, persons that are needing to be, guided, might need some type of relationship, type of goals or something like that. So I thought this reading would be purposeful and I wanted to share it with y'all. So let's get into it. Again, this is Lamadam. I hope all is well. So the heart of the matter is the Seven of Cups. I feel that during this Aries season, which is a fire sign, it could be Sagittarius, Leo, most definitely those other signs can correlate with this reading. But this is mainly for Aries. Okay, this is mainly for Aries. So take it as you will. And of course, if your moon or rising sign or south node or north node play into this reading, please consider that as well. Put this reading as it fits, guys. Again, this is Lamadam. So the Seven of Cups, this Aries, and I'm just going to I'm going to say Aries for male or female, femme or masculine. This Aries is in this type of energy light. They're kind of like filled up. They're fueled up. Should I say the least? The Seven of Cups. I feel that they're fueled up. They're getting a lot of attention from a lot of different avenues. You know, it's kind of like inside of their head, or their mind, in their world. It's kind of like their Vegas. If I had to name them a city, it would be Vegas, the city of sin. Where everything goes there. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, type of stuff. But yeah, this Aries is it's kind of like reaping the benefit. They're really taking it's their birthday season, and it's a full moon today, so I feel like the wolves are howling, and the night belongs to them. Okay, remember, him or her, a femme or mask. So it's crossing the Seven of Cups, which this Aries happens to have lots of prospects. There's a lot of options out there. A lot of persons are finding this Aries rather irresistible at this time. And so, they're feeling like they're in this type of position where, I mean, hey, I got Seven of Cups. I got seven, you know, breezies, waiting for me. I got seven dudes, on speed dial, that's for men and women, kind of attitude. So what's crossing this behavior and this attitude at this time is the Ten of Cups. That's their desire. There means that the Aries desire is to have fulfillment, is to have a taste of this Ten of Cups. We all want a taste of fame. We all, would love to win the lottery. I've never heard of a person say, I never want to win the lottery. I hardly ever hear a person say that. So, Aries is pretty much in this bold type of, you know, energy to where it's like, man, the world is mine, and they may be a little selfish at times, but I do feel that they're taking advantage of their birthday season, and they're wanting fulfillment. So when you think of 7 out of 10, I mean, that's really close to 10. So a person that has 7 cups, but they're really trying to get to 10, what we talking about? We talking about what, three different slots or spots before you get to 10. So, they don't have that much further to go. So they're pretty, I feel that they're at this time working from a masculine type of energy and stuff. And they feel like the world is theirs. Now, how they usually are, once again, I'm talking about Aries. This reading is for Aries again. Aries, male, female. This Aries, female, masculine, is feeling very charming at this time. It's they're a little well endowed. Their heads, brains are swollen at this time. Yeah, I'm giving it to the Aries. I am. Yeah, my one of my exes were, they're in Aries, and so, I can say these things. So anyway, of course, you guys will deny it. So Aries are pretty much in this big-headed type of energy, where they're using their charm to get what they want. Like for example, they go to a club, and they may have their eye. Well, of course, they go to the club and they know that eyes are going to be on them. Like, yeah, to a female, she can be like, oh, I wore these shoes, or I wore this dress. Oh, I know, or, my breasts are sitting up looking right. And, I got oil and glitter all on my neck and body. I know I'm going to pull something tonight. And the men, are like rubbing their beards, pulling their beards, making sure their eyebrows and everything's in alignment, and looking all suave. So I feel like at this time, Aries are really showing out. Then they may be showing out externally um, at this time. Now, leaving from their past, they have a significant, a person that they've dealt with in the past, an ex, a baby mama, a boyfriend, girlfriend, a favorite person, a go to person, a bottom feeder, call it what you will. But this Aries has someone from the past that's still hanging around, and this is one of their key players. Let's put it like that. This is one of their key players. Whatever this mask or femme does, you could best believe this mask and the femme is going to be right there to pick up the pieces. You know, this person is their go-to person. And yeah, from the past, they still have this going on. So you got to remember that once you're all high and you're off that high, and just think you're at a techno party or you're at a rave, and everybody, you're vibing and grooving, you're in the moment, and then all of a sudden the music stops, you know, I don't know, just all of a sudden the music stops. You're kind of like, okay, it's been off for a while. Okay, who kicked the speakers now? Who turned off the music? Who's messing with the music? It kind of messes up your vibe a little, just to use an example. And so, yeah, this Queen of Wands is pretty much, just putting up with the Page of Pentacle. Putting up with this Aries, like, okay, I see you out there, and they're knowing that in the end they're going to get a piece of this pie. So of course they'll be waiting there, you know, with they'll be waiting for their turn. So moving into a more positive, so it says, we'll see. It says Page of Cups. A Page of Cups is coming from, I believe that there is a person, a particular person, a piece of the puzzle, a main character, or a character. I won't say main character, a character, an upcoming character. I believe somebody, they have a, they're interested. This is an interested person. There's another person coming on the scene, and they're interested. They're checking this Aries out, and this Page of Cups is, kind of intrigued. Maybe younger, or more young spirited, male or female, and she's caught, this Aries attention. So there's another person coming on the scene. Um, and so we'll get into it because remember, we have this Queen of Wands from the past, and she or he is, the Rough Rider of this Knight of Pentacles. Wherever he can do it as he pleases. He can have two, three, four persons. It doesn't matter as long as you don't fall in love. Just have your fun. So this person has it made. This I want to say Prince. Prince of Pentacles, Prince or Knight of Pentacles. They're in this energy, male or female. That they can have it their way. For female, she can tell her boyfriend or her favorite person, yeah, I went on a date, but I didn't do anything. Yeah, I went on a date. I did. I went. He paid for my lunch, so I went and ate with him, but we didn't do anything. And then to a man could be like, oh yeah, I end up running to old girl, and whoop whoop whoop, and one thing led to another. So like I said, and then they're all forgiven. That's an example of how some people run their relationships to where they don't have any boundaries, there's no respect, and so you're pretty much just, you know, you're devaluing yourselves. But that's people's thing. That's what people do nowadays. So now moving into more of the present energy is someone's hit with the Three of Swords. So although this person is out here, this steamy, hot, charismatic person, this player, or gigolo, or pimp, however you want to say it, pimp player, or whatever, is dealing with a heartache. Is going through the Three of Swords. Deep down inside, their heart was broken, or is broken, or they're dealing with a broken heart. And so, maybe that might be why they're out kind of, partying a little, doing a little, too much, maybe because of this Three of Swords. I'm not making no excuses. I'm just saying that people sometimes they want an excuse. Let's keep it real. I'm not making excuses, but some people want an excuse, and any excuse is better than none. So, yeah, they're moving from this Three of Swords. They've been in this hurtful type of state for a while, and and so shoot, they got vamped, and so they want to vamp somebody else. They want to take a bite of the apple. Adam and Eve, they want to take a bite of that apple, and they don't care who it hurts or who they burn. They don't care what they gotta do to get through. They're getting through. And we're speaking of Aries, guys. This is Aries month and Aries season. So I chose today to do this reading for Aries. So yeah, so the feeling or more of the character of this whole moral of this situation for Aries month, I believe that there's been a warning. There's been some type of warning from an agency, organization, mainly like an organization, something that's kind of personal, but at the same professional at the same time. And I believe that there's been a warning, be careful with your destructive ways. It can catch up to you one day, and I believe that this person has been a male, female, this Aries energy for Aries month. I'm speaking of male, female right now, Aries. Someone has warned you. Be careful. Be careful out there. And so that's a warning. Throughout all this having fun, pleasure, and pain, and all that comes real pain. You know, and so anyhow, so how people are seeing this whole situation is people are really like, wow, man, their life looks so exciting, man. It seems like him or her, they got it going on, man. I had such a good time. I went out with my Aries friend. We partied. We did all the drinking. We did all the, went out to eat and did all this. I stayed out to 6 in the morning, and, everybody's all hype and everybody's hyphy and stuff right now. Everybody's out, the howling. It's a full moon again, guys. So I believe that everybody's out there in the limelight and friends and stuff and foes, everybody's thinking that, yeah, man, you the man, or you that bitch, you that bitch for real, you up here making your dreams come true. Like, man, I want to kick it with you. I want to rock with you. So, this fan mail and all that stuff and seat warmers and all that stuff play together. You know, that's like when you see a rich person and you see a rich person's lifestyle and how they live compared to a poor person, that comes in and sits at their table. They're going to be astounded. They're going to be like, wow, you have all these, gadgets and gadgets and things and stuff like that. I wish I had that. And so it's kind of like a misused type of power. And you got to be careful, follow the red signs, guys. So, hope or fear, I would say, um, since a hope or fear is Knight of Cups, I feel that this person, this Aries, male or female, is in a really, really, what's the word I want to say? They're in a really proud like mood. They're proud of their accomplishments, um, and that's nice to a certain extent. I believe Nine of Cups is nice. Yeah, you have accomplished things and stuff, but you got to kind of look out. Sometimes the Nine of Cups can be a little, I see a little boastful, somewhat boastful. That's what the energy I'm feeling. This Nine of Cups is very boastful. It's like they got these cups way too easy. You know, it's kind of like, wow, I know I didn't deserve all this, but look, I got it anyway. I got my way. I thought I went for just six or seven, but end up with 9 or 10. I'm winning, type of attitude. And, you guys just use your own, so word I want to say. And then I hate when I forget words. And then when I'm watching my video, editing it, I see all the mistakes I make. But yeah, the Nine of Cups is kind of coming from a conceited area, followed by the Four of Cups. The last card is the Four of Cups. I believe that this energy is going to come and it's going to go. And it is. You got 30 days. Everybody's horoscope sign. They have 30 days within that month to party and do what you're going to do. And then the seasons are going to change. You know, the planets are going to change. The way the moon and sun sets is going to change. People are going to change. And so nothing's going to stay the same. So I believe, yeah, for Aries, I believe that after everything's said and done, you'll be in the Four of Cups energy. You'll be sitting there wondering, like, what the heck, man? Everything was going so well. It's kind of like, okay, you got all the way to Seven of Cups, right? And then now you're down to Four of Cups. So you got broken down. You were elevating, getting up higher. You were at Nine of Cups. You were already there. And then, dang, you just got caught slipping, and now you had to go back a few notches. Now you're at Four of Cups. And I believe that, you know, if you don't watch yourself and catch yourself, that could pretty much happen in real life. When you think about it on a more of a, not from an illusional type of way, but more of a, what's the word I want to say? Just more on a serious note. You need to really think about that. Are you really winning? You know, and so a lot of times we can be in denial, and because you have this power and you're feeling so unstoppable. It's like, that kryptonite, it's like in your blood. It's like, oh, I'm going to be the Hulk forever. But no, you're going to get weak. You're going to have to refuel. You're going to have to do, all these different things to keep it going, to become something that you're not, to become something greater than yourself. So a lot of times, yeah, you will get knocked down a few notches. So yeah, this has been a reading for Aries. I did want to include, I added some planets. I believe that Aries and Pisces came out as far as the planets and things of that nature. A little positive, on a positive note, I'll read some of it. It says, energies to meet the challenge of. So we're in the month of Aries. So Aries is here, and Pisces is here, and Cancer is here. And so, you know, it could be a moon rising, like I said, south node, north node. Your Lilith could be, here. But yeah, these are the signs that I see: Aries and Pisces. And of course, that's fire and water, because you got Pisces and Cancer is water. So I would say fire and water sign. This reading, could be for you. So it says your desires regarding your idealization of accept. So what I get from that means that keep in mind that we're supposed to learn and grow. As long as you're growing, you're elevating, that's what matters, you know. So it's just kind of like, I guess my advice to Aries around this season is everyone's going to do what they're going to do for their birthday month. So party hard, party hard. I'm not no hater. I'm a congratulator. But at the same time, as a friend to friend, you know, just these things are temporary. This feeling, this fix, this high that you're on is temporary. It's just an illusion. It's not real. It's not going to stay. It's not substantial. And with that being said, use your good sense, and realize that just as good as you're having fun and all that, man, you can fall, and you can lose it all. Just know that. And no, I'm not. There's no nothing bad intent. It's just I've seen it happen. I see things, and I see this in your future, Aries. So it's important that you know, come out of this denial, to where you deny, the inevitable. Start decluttering. Let go of things that don't serve you, and create a new space for growth, to do something new, to reinvent yourself. Put in the work this time. Don't just, we sit there, we plot, we think, and then, we don't put, the metal, what is it, the metal to the gas to metal. You know what I mean. But, you put in the work, and pay attention. Pay attention to what you're doing. So that way, if you have to redo it, you know how to do it. So once you learn once, then you taught yourself. It's like riding a bike. Once you learn how to ride a bike, you never forget. Just a little FYI, Mother Teresa, Ramadan, you won't hear it from me. Make sound decisions, guys. Be smart out there. You're having fun and partying, and but at night, that's when you'll see things. Things are out at night. At nighttime is live out there. Believe it or not, just because it's dark and you think that people can't hear your thoughts or see your thoughts, and you're so invisible, you're not. Okay? And if you can see, the other person can see. Just know that. Whatever you can see in the dark, another person can see in the dark. Uh, so, yeah, I'm going to stop there. This has been a very, very interesting reading for Aries. I hope you all enjoyed it. I will try to get in more readings and stuff like that. I've been very busy. Um, my brother's birthday is today, April 2nd. So, I'll be celebrating him, my older brother. Um, Late older brother is not with us now, but he's with us in spirit. And so, I've been busy and stuff, doing the family stuff. So don't worry about me, guys. I'm well. I hope everyone's well. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoy this reading. Come back for more now. Okay. Good night.